Welcome to the Business by Referral podcast, where six-figure solopreneurs discover the must-know secrets for getting off the revenue roller coaster and building a business that fuels their passions, funds their dreams, and leaves a legacy. We'll be bringing you how-to tips, tactics, and implementable strategies to put you on the path to building the kind of business relationships that lead to revenue and results. Now, here's your host, the referral diva herself, Virginia Muzquiz.
Hey, welcome back to the Business by Referral podcast. I'm Virginia Muzquiz, the referral diva, here in my new headquarters with Todd Krause. He is the owner of the Cleaning Authority, where he grew the business from 1.8 million in revenue to more than 4 million while building a diverse team, a thriving workplace culture that prioritizes people, performance, and long-term success. His leadership approach has earned multiple industry recognitions, including Franchisee of the Year honors. And Todd holds an MBA and is a certified public accountant with more than 3 decades of experience leading and growing businesses across multiple industries. Today, he is the founder of Silver Sun Consulting, a firm dedicated to solving growth challenges that keep home service businesses stuck. Todd, welcome to the show.
Virginia, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you found us and that we're going to get to have this conversation. So as a fellow franchisee, my husband and I own 2 B&I franchises. It can be challenging to be award-winning in leadership in the franchise industry. So congratulations for that, right?
Thank you.
That's huge. That's absolutely huge. I've been a franchisee for 14 years now. I'm super aware of the ups and downs of living in the franchise world. How did you get into, I know you were in finance before, and then you decided to buy a franchise, I take it. So talk a little bit about that decision.
If you looked at my resume, it would look very corporate with all the titles and the names of the companies. What I really did most of my financial career is I worked on the alternative side of the finance world. That meant I worked with hedge funds, private equity, venture capital. So we were always working with individual businesses or what people in the finance world call deals. Mm-hmm. It let me touch and feel, peek into many different industries, ranging from multifamily apartment complexes, oil and gas, bottled water, alarm vending, and more. I started to notice some things along the way as to what really made them work well and what things in common that didn't work so well. Along the way, a couple of times, I built my own business. I was spun out of a small investment advisory company. They wanted to turn the back office into a profit center and make it a fund administrator. So that's a big word that simply means do all the accounting, talk to all the customers, keep all the books and records, and we'll pay you to do it. They didn't make it as a business, but I grew that business to $2 billion.
Wow.
That led to my being recruited by ABN AMRO. They wanted to start a fund administration business unit. They had everything in place, except they didn't know how to do fund administration. Believe it or not, yes. So over a chance conversation with one of the people tasked with launching that business unit over coffee, and next thing you know, I'm being introduced to the division head, and I got hired to be the knowledge expert and guide them through the world of fund administration. Mm-hmm. So we grew that to $14 billion before the bank was broken up and sold off in pieces. Now, fast forward, I'm working for the same person who ran that division that I built the fund administration unit for. Only this time he's out on his own and he's built his own company, basically doing fund administration. He needed somebody to come in and show them how to do it better. Through some twists and turns, in 2018, I moved to Indianapolis to take over a credit team here in Indianapolis. But that position ended March 6th, 2020, right before the pandemic lockdowns.
Yeah, that was 2 weeks before yeah.
I was looking on a business broker website and I saw this cleaning business, which already had a respectable size, for sale. So I showed it to my wife. I'm showing her all the information and she goes, "A cleaning business? Really? A cleaning business?" So with that glowing approval of my idea, I went and bought it. Now she's making the daily deposits. This time she says, "A cleaning business."
Yeah.
So to take that long story and shorten it down, it wasn't such a big leap because I'd been in and out of so many different industries and so many different businesses as a function of what I did for these finance companies
Right.
and these asset management companies. Only now I had a chance to own one of these businesses for myself. I was not a fund administrator.
And so you've got the franchise and now you've scaled it to a point where you can bless other people with that ownership, right? Which is what I really think is when we take a business that's good and we make it great and then we make it available to others because those systems are great. And you said you were exiting through your employees, right?
Correct.
I love that model. They help you build it. The least we can do is let them have it, right?
Well, in a conversation I had with them April 26, 2021, I told them that I needed them to run the company and care about it the way an owner would.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, my thank you to you is I will create a path to ownership. So it's structures that they buy 10% a year until they own 40%. Then they have the option to buy the remaining 60.
Mm-hmm.
I structured it that way because they don't have a lot of money in the bank.
Right.
And they don't have a lot of assets to use as collateral for a loan.
Right.
But if they own 40% of the business already, then they can say, well, look, Mr. Banker, I already have a valuable asset that I can use as my collateral. Please give me an SBA-backed loan to buy the rest of the company. And then I said, plan B, if for some reason that falls through, and I can't think of a reason why it would, but if it does, I'll be the bank one more time for you. I'll be the lender.
One of the biggest challenges, I will bring this up for you just because you want to look into it. We had a partnership in our franchises. And when we wanted to buy them out, we had to buy out the partnership before they would give us the loan. So that would there were some machinations that we had to do. So
I've seen a lot of deals in my years in finance, and I've seen a lot of the problems. When you structure a deal, you not only have to have a door marked enter, but you also have to have a door marked exit. And it has to be structured fairly. As long as how you value the company when they come in and how you value it when they leave exists, then it solves a lot of your problems in the partnership world. It stops the arguing over how much is it worth.
Well, and I think again, this all goes to what we were talking before in the green room, which I see a lot as a BNI franchisee. We were talking today about what makes members leave. And there were a lot of they get in a fight with somebody or this happens or conflict of interest or personality conflicts. But one of the ones that really saddens me, because I can't control people being people, but when somebody says, I can't do this anymore because I'm growing too fast and I can't handle any more business, it pains me because there is a solution to that if they could just step back and come up for air and understand the difference between growth and scale. So do you want to talk just a little bit? Because a lot of the Business by Referral podcast audience are people that are just starting out. They're just starting to build something. They're building a practice right now, Todd, but they're really not thinking about it as a business. They're thinking I'm a coach, I'm a consultant, I'm a solo practice attorney. They're not thinking about building a thing that has lasting value. So chat a little bit about, from your perspective, the difference between building a practice that's dependent on you and building something that you can hand over and someone could inherit or purchase. What do you think some of the mindset differences are?
Well, let's start by taking it a little bit in reverse order.
Sure.
If our goal is to build an asset, and it should be every business owner's goal, the problem if you don't do that is when you stop working at the business, everything just stops. There is no more income. You have been the business. But if you build something you can sell, now when you say, I'm no longer want to do this, you can sell it to somebody else and get yet another payment. So that brings us back to what's growth and what's scale. Growth is just more business. And I'm scrambling to get it done. And I change my tools when I have to. Scale is we start to think strategically about what sort of tools are expandable, what sort of organization structure lets me add where I need so the business can grow. You should never really end up in a spot of saying I have too much business. That means you're trying to hold your arms around everything. You're trying to make every decision. You're trying to review every document, every word that was written. And it's just not possible if you're going to grow. A solopreneur can still be a solopreneur for a long time, but there's some amazing help available out there. If you think more structurally about what parts of the business can be compartmentalized and handed off first to a virtual assistant or two.
Right.
These people, there's so many of them, even overseas, for example, in the Philippines.
Yeah.
That's where my back office is. They're well educated, fluent in English. They're almost as good in English as you and I are.
Sure.
They're creative. I started off by handing off simple tasks, and I found out, oh, I could take entire creative projects and outline what I want them to do, and they would put it together 80, 90% complete. All I had to do was make the final adjustments to it, move a couple of levers back and forth. What an amazing relief, and how it just freed up so much time to do other things. You can build a staff that helps you that way.
Right.
The things that get off your desk first are things that are repetitive. You give somebody a set of instructions what to do one time, and they take it and they run with it.
I have a VA who I hired, and I said, I'm going to pay you full time, whether you task or you don't task. So you get paid every week for 40 hours, and your job is between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. my time is to sit there and wait for me to message you. And so she was like, what? And I said, yeah, in the meantime, learn something. You want to take a course, you find a course that you think is useful, you tell me about it, I'll buy you a course, right? So by the time the first 30 days was up, she had watched every video, listened to every podcast. Like, she just binged my business, binged listen my business, and said, okay, so I wrote all the SOPs for your business. I looked at all your documents. I looked at all your videos. I looked at all your stuff, and I have some suggestions for how you could run this business more efficiently. And I thought, oh my gosh, we so underestimate the power of some of our, in the Philippines and India and Mexico, of these folks that, you know, they're not charging us $30, $40 an hour, although they're worth it. And when I asked her these three questions, working for me, what would you like to experience? How would you like to grow? And what would you like to contribute? And her answer to the third question was, no one's ever let me contribute before, but I could contribute massively to your business. And I was like, great, go contribute. And after 3 years, my business is actually scalable, because every conversation I have, everything that I do, and now with AI, she gets all the transcripts, everything gets turned into an SOP or updates a standard operating process. And I find that is really, then that is enabling my brain to be like, okay, I can actually scale this business because I can spend my time thinking and strategizing and creating as opposed to tasking all day long. But so many solos just would rather get into the weeds than get out of the weeds and onto the path to prosperity. What advice do you have for them?
I think you touched on it right there with what you just said. We all tend to gravitate toward what we do best and what we like the best. For many people, that's writing documents or it's tinkering with technology. That's not what grows the business. You have to get out there and talk to people. You have to be the creative mind behind the business. Being a solopreneur doesn't mean that you are working solo and doing everything. It means that it's your name on the business. You are the face of the business. But to scale, you have to have help. You have to have systems. You have to have processes. You have to have standardization. That's how you maintain your quality. And standardization starts with the simple things. You have a look to every email that goes out. You have a format to every letter that goes out. It becomes your brand. But what does it do? It makes it so much easier to write the next email and the next letter because you have almost like a template, a format that you drop it into. It makes it easy to hand it to your assistant or assistants.
I love that. And
now the price for some of these people in the Philippines is only $10 an hour.
Yeah.
You can have a whole week's worth of help for around $300.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I really do. One of the things I advocate for, I'm actually with my, well, she's now my executive assistant, right? And pretty soon she's going to be my COO because she's that good, is that she wanted to be an entrepreneur. So we're actually building out a VA agency for solopreneurs that's project-based. So you don't have to hire them all the time, but you can say, I just need this funnel built, or I just need this email series programmed, or this workflow done. And then from there, we can help them grow their business. And then those VAs that work on the project base could become their permanent VAs. But my goal is really to get them being paid what I would consider to be a prosperity wage, so they can build other sources and other streams of income and actually get out of the grind. And I'm really excited about that possibility of making that happen, because when you're hiring folks there, you really are lifting them out of poverty. And I think that's, most people, that's missed on, right? If you're just thinking, oh, I'm just hiring somebody to help me, you're also really committing to sort of help a person better their lives. And I think that's also a big part of being an employer. So let's talk about just a little bit about employment. For me, I have two mottos. One is, my team deserves great colleagues. So if any single colleague isn't being a team member, isn't being great for the team, then we have to have that conversation. I'm not making that decision. I'm making it because my team deserves great colleagues. And I also think that people need control over how they get an output. So mostly I manage by result and outcome. So it's sort of outcome-based management. And I'm here for people to ask me questions or request tools or whatever they need, but I just kind of expect them to manage their stuff. And I was having that conversation with somebody the other day, and she was like, oh, I would never do that. And I thought to myself, you will be exhausted for your entire life then.
I agree with what you're saying. We layer a couple of things on top, and it has just really put the cleaning business over the top in the industry. Is we had bonuses, real money to delivering these outcomes. So when our customers tell us that through the app that the team did a great job, they get money on their next paycheck. If that same customer goes to Google and tells the world we did a good job, they get more money on their paycheck. Because we live in a world where everyone talks, and at some point talk becomes cheap. So we say, thank you for doing a good job. I mean it. And here's some money which makes your life better. And really puts that exclamation point behind the thank you for doing a good job.
Is that something that the franchise recommends, or is that something you do, but lots of other franchisees maybe don't?
It's unique to us. It's something we do. You see, when I took over, the culture was on the toxic side. Turnover was high among the customers and the cleaners. Morale was low. So we put a quality plan in place and just a short list of bullet points as to what good quality is. And then a few months later, we layered on bonuses. It took about 6 weeks to take effect because we had to get through this skeptical period. You could just see it in the staff. Well, do they really mean it, or are they just talking? But once those first couple of teams started taking home bonuses, everybody wanted on board. And the entire culture changed in about 6 weeks. Prior to that, there were all these morning meetings with the team saying, well, you broke this, you missed cleaning that, Mrs. Jones isn't happy with how you took care of things. Gone. Haven't had those conversations in years.
And you know what really sucks about that? Has nobody had they never heard the idea of praise in public and reprimand in private? If I'm gonna say to you, hey Todd, can you come here a minute? Mrs. McGillicuddy let me know that XYZ. Can you share with me what happened there? Like whatever, right? Because maybe it was fine and it was the cat that knocked that vase over, but we got nailed for it or whatever, right? And those meetings when people are getting railed in front of their peers is so gut-wrenching to me. It seems to me like bringing people up and saying, hey, let's celebrate Susan, she got a 5-star bonus, and let's meet our 5-star bonus people. And Susan, how did you earn that 5-star like that 5-star review? Like that to me makes so much sense. But having a team meeting so you can tell everybody they suck is like a really dumb idea.
It's incredibly dumb. I stopped that behavior shortly after getting there and looking around. And I said, stop. Just stop saying no, stop saying don't, stop threatening consequences. Tell them what we need from them. Tell them what the customers ask for and what the benefits and rewards are for delivering that. And what an amazing difference it's been.
Yeah, and I think when you allow people to solve the problem themselves, like, hey, we have a customer service issue that's happening. It's happened, I've become aware of it, that it's happening more than it probably should. So what can we all do as a team to help each other make sure that we get an improvement? Because what I'd love for the outcome to be, so I call it the ick and the wow. Like, here's the ick. This is kind of where we are, and we are capable of wow. Question is, how do we get from ick to wow? What do you guys think? And then we just toss it to the team and we let the team figure out what's the bridge? How do we build the bridge between ick and wow? And then we're like, okay, great. It's how do we make it specific? How do we make it measurable? How do we assign it? Who's assignable and who's responsible for that? Right. And then what's the time frame? And we seem to get really good results when we let them be the solution to the challenges, the ever-changing challenges of business. And I think a lot of people don't like building teams because they are scared of that. They're scared of having to manage people or being responsible for somebody else's paycheck or whatever it is. What advice do you have for somebody who's thinking, I kind of don't want to just be a practitioner. I kind of do want to be a business owner, and I kind of do want to be a leader. What are give me 3 things that people should consider as they're moving from practitioner, which the self-employed practitioner, to the business owner?
It's not unlike the same change that you have to go through when you're moving from employee at a company to manager. If you're getting things done through other people is at the end of the day what you are doing. How you move there is you can take simple steps first. Start with the easy repetitive task. When you pick them up from your desk and you give them to an assistant, then you start seeing the benefits of not having to do everything yourself and what a relief that is. After you guide the assistant to get the results that the business needs, then it's so much easier to keep picking tasks up and giving them to the other employees. So that's the simple first steps. The second one is to start taking it to a higher level, a more strategic level. Now you're soliciting ideas and suggestions from them. So you don't have to always be the person coming up with every answer for every question, solving every problem. These people around you are smart, they're intelligent, they're eager, they're hungry for the opportunity to do things. So stage 2 is pulling that back out of them, their intelligence and creativity, the capability that already exists. Number 3, we've got to change how we measure the results. When we do it ourselves, then our end result is how we measure everything. Does it look like the way Todd did it? If it doesn't look like the way Todd did it, then it mustn't be right. You know, it's a variation on the if you want it done right, do it yourself expression. But think of it as getting a measuring stick and saying, was that a good result for the business? Hold up the measuring stick and check. Was that a good result for the business? The result might be different than what would happen if you did it yourself. But if the answer is yes, that was a good result. Now we've moved it from, well, is it what Todd likes, to what is good for the business? What moves the business forward? That's important, because when these people come to you with ideas and when they start to do things for you, it doesn't look exactly like it would if you did it yourself.
Right.
That doesn't make it wrong.
Well, and I think I remember one time I was talking with some people on my team and I was like, okay, so first you need to do A, and then you need to do B, and then you need to do C. And then after you do C, do D, E, and F. And my teammate stopped me and said, what's the outcome? I said, well, the outcome is Z. He goes, great. Well, we could do A, P, and Q and land there. So why don't we just do A, P, Q? Because we don't need to do all 26 of those things. The reason you do those 26 things is because that's the only way you know how to do it. But I have more expertise at this, which is why you hired me. So we're going to do like A, P, and Q and land on Z. And I was like, okay, I am never, ever again going to waste my breath, my energy, and my mental capacity figuring out the micro steps to get something done. And now mostly my team does it better than I do because they're good at what they do. I'm just good at doing what I do best, and they really handle a lot. So I think that's kind of the mindset shift for people that are afraid to grow, afraid to hire a VA, afraid to hire somebody or ask for help, or even like in the referral world, some people don't even want to have joint venture partners or referral partners because they don't trust the partnership to actually deliver the result that they want. Or they kind of like meet somebody at a networking event and then say something like, so Todd, if you ever meet somebody who wants more referrals, send them my way. Okay. And then, and then I'm like, see, Todd's a lousy partner because he hasn't sent me anybody. I'm like, that's not how you create a partnership any more than you would hire a VA and be like, yeah, do some stuff and grow my business for me. I mean, we have to help people help us to an extent. They at least need to know the outcomes.
Oh, I agree with that so much.
When so thinking about your business and growing your business right now, let's talk about your consulting business. So who's your primary target for your consulting business? Who do you want to help?
There's two sides to it, but it's the same message. From the public stage, I am talking to, more often than not, business owners or senior managers. Sprinkled into that crowd are people who come from other organizations. It might be healthcare or you name it, not-for-profits. The principles apply broadly. On the one-on-one or small group side, it's the business owners and their managers or leaders of some organization that want it to function better. Because I can demonstrate a recent track record in the cleaning business, I've been actively targeting the home services industry.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Because that's a place right now where there's massive amount of wealth transfer, because the 80-year-old dad is not going to be like fixing the HV and crawling around crawl spaces and doing all that stuff. So I was curious if that's kind of a direction that you were going in.
No, that is the primary focus. I do not turn down anybody from another area.
Sure. I love that.
At the moment, I really look like a solopreneur, but I have a team in the Philippines backing me up.
Sure.
As assistants and taking care of tech for me.
Sure. How are you getting most of your clients these days?
Through a couple of methods. We're using email, LinkedIn messaging, outreaching through social media. I do post the podcast that I'm on to the website, to the YouTube channel, and I do put clips onto all of the social media platforms as a way to get the message out to people that I'm here, and this is the type of help that I offer.
Awesome. Okay. Are you doing any networking or anything along those lines to get the word out?
I do. It's your local Rotaries, your chambers are been pretty good places to go. Meet quite a variety of people in those organizations.
What's your number one frustration with marketing and client acquisition?
The biggest frustration is these people who they're interested, you can see how badly they need the help, but they let themselves be scared off because there's some money involved. And the whole purpose of getting help is to shorten that learning curve, get to a greater profit faster. Once you make that switch and you see the value of help and asking for help, then you're never going to go back. You're never going to stop, because it just opens doors that otherwise wouldn't be opened. I say that because I've had a couple of clients who we were just at that point where we were really making a nice impact on their business. And then they said, "Oh, thank you very much. I've got everything I need." And I said, "Oh, no. We've worked on the first 20%, but there's so much more to give you yet to really make your business get there."
Yeah, I see this a lot. So let me share just two things, because I promised I'd share some stuff with you. One of the things that I think positions you to not run into that problem is you can't eliminate it completely, but you can position yourself to face it less, or give yourself a hook point to have conversations when they say, "I think I'm done." One is in the sales conversation. I do something called 6-point objection proof selling. And so we talk about ick and wow. So it's sort of like, "Hey, Todd, where are you in your business when it comes to client acquisition, which is my specialty? What's your number one frustration?" For you, it might be when it ultimately comes to your profitability, right? How much money you're able to keep. When it comes to how much money you're actually keeping for all the work you're doing, what is your biggest frustration? And then they'll start talking to you about the leaks. Like, "I have all this overage," or "I have this," or "I have that," right? So they'll talk with you about that. Then you can ask what they wish it would look like. It's okay, in an ideal world, what does it look like? So if we solved all of that stuff, if we could mitigate that, what would it look like, and who would that impact, and what would be the difference? What do you imagine would be the difference for your life, for your business, for your family, for your employees, for your dog, whatever, right? Your philanthropic efforts. So you really dig into like, where is the impact of solving these problems? And what that really does for people is it links them the solution, like the need to solve it, to something more meaningful than just making money, right? Well, what about the impact we were going to make together? Well, what about the impact? What about retiring your wife? what about sending Johnny to Juilliard, right? Like if we stop here, then that might go away. So that gives you, like, if you keep good records and you can revisit those conversations, that's really helpful. The third point in the 6-point selling is to ask people what they've tried. So what have you tried already? And what kind of help or support have you gotten already? And I get them talking about, if it's a business owner, like an HVAC guy or whatever, I'm talking like, what has your accountant told you? What has your attorney told you? What has your insurance guy told you? Like all those professionals that are supposedly backing you up, are they giving you good advice? No. Okay, well, so then you kind of know they're not really asking, maybe they're not asking the right questions. Maybe they're not getting what they need. And then you just ask them, if you were going to ask for help, what would feel like help for you? And in that regard, I'm looking for what kind of done for you services do they need that they don't have? What kind of done with you services do they need? Meaning where do they need a mentor or a guide to walk them down a path? For example, this sales conversation is a place where people need a lot of guidance. And I have an entire AI system built out where I can analyze those conversations and say, like in step 3, you missed this, or wow, you went through that whole conversation and missed the ask. Something in your brain said, don't ask this person if they want to work with me. So I have an entire system that helps people master this by analyzing the conversation. So that's an example of a done with you kind of thing. Then I ask them, what would it be worth to you to get all that solved? Right? What would that be worth? And oftentimes people are like, oh my God, it would be like infinity. It would be priceless. They give you that and you say, yeah, but if you had to put a number to it. And then that tells you whether or not they're ready to invest and what their investment level is, their current belief level. And the belief level is either they don't believe in themselves. For example, they've hired hundreds of consultants or coaches and they haven't gotten a result, but they know it's because they didn't do the work. So their belief in themselves is low. Sometimes they feel like they've been burned and they don't want to get burnt again. So it's a question of where are they in personal responsibility or are they in blame? And that's where you have to really listen for that. If I want to work with them, so if I'm talking to them and I like their vibe and I think I can do the things that they need and I like the price point that they just threw out there, then I'm going to ask them, when you hire someone, what's important to you in a coach, consultant, provider, vendor, whatever? And they usually don't have an answer. So then I say, what would make you quit a mentor, consultant, coach, or vendor? What are the things that make you throw your hands up and be like, screw it, I'm done. I'm not doing this. Ooh, they'll tell you a lot. They'll tell you a whole lot about their objections. That's where you get all their objections, which is where the objection proof comes forth.
Okay.
Because that's where they tell you all their objections right there. So then the 6th point is I'm going to show you how I'm going to get you from ick to wow, giving you all the done with you, done for you, done what you have to do yourself in a way that mitigates all the problems you think you're going to have and gets you everything you want. So then when I present my sales offer, I just present it in a way that answers all that stuff that I just asked.
That is brilliant.
Right? So now I don't wait for the objection. I build my way out of the objections by how I present the offer. And that conversation changes a lot, because if they tell you at stage 4 that they'll tell you, I don't have any money. And I say, I didn't ask you if you had the money or didn't have the money. I asked you, what is the result worth? What would the result be worth? How much more money do you think you would make? Would investing 10% of that be reasonable? How about 8% of that? Would that be reasonable? So I'm looking for where that is. And if that doesn't work for me, then I'm like, hey, I probably am not the guy for you. Like it sounds like right now you need a different solution. Here's a book. Here's a video series. I send a lot of people to Taki Moore. I'm like, Taki Moore has his entire stuff out on YouTube. You know who else has it all out there is Hormozy. right? I'm like, you
Yeah,
should
yeah.
tune in to Taki Moore and Alex Hormozy. Those guys are great. Just find a guru in the industry that has a great YouTube channel and just point them to free. Right? And then put them on your 90-day check-in calendar. Hey, Virginia, how's it going watching all those videos from that free guy? Has it made a difference in your business yet? No? Okay, should we revisit? So that way you can nurture, but you have a reason to call them back because you gave them something to do. And then just really quick on the offer side, the reason they think they're done is because they don't know what's next. So when you structure their offer, structure it in milestones. Like our first milestone will be to solve this. Our second milestone will be to do this. Our third, and you'll know you're done when you've added $1 million in profit to your business. That's when we're done. So I tell them when we're done. Now you can be done anytime you want, but I'm not done until I see a 7-figure improvement in your profit. That's when I'm done. So you can quit anytime you want. But when you come to me to quit, I'm going to remind you, you said you wanted a 7-figure improvement in your profit and you wanted a legacy business that you could sell. I'm going to remind you of that if we work together. Is that okay? So I do have people that quit. I had somebody that left my program just the other day because she felt like she didn't want to be in business anymore. Okay. I'm not going to force you to be in business, nor am I going to force you. No, you can't quit me until you get to the goal we set. No, she just decided she doesn't want to do it anymore. That's cool. But at least you have an anchor to have the conversation.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can go back to that. You said we're done when we get to $1 million.
Yeah, that's when I'm done. Right. And that's what you said you wanted. So I'm not done until you get what you want.
There you go.
Yeah. And I also tie my payments to the milestone. So I put the milestones in place. And then I say, okay, you're going to put this amount of money down and we're going to work through these 2 things. And then when we get to this point, you're going to pay me another chunk so we can do the next part. And they can exit at those moments, but usually they won't. And usually I'm celebrating them. I'm like, Todd, oh my God, you're like $200 away from the next opportunity to move forward and learn the next valuable skill on your $1 million journey. I'm really excited for you. Like, let's get that planned. When are we going to have that done? So you're always giving yourself that ability to coach them through the hard times by saying, but you're only this much further. You don't have that much more to go. Right.
That's right. Oh, wow. I love the way you're doing that.
Yeah, it works really, really well. I can't say that I'm not going to say that it's super perfect, but I'll tell you what, a lot of people are getting a lot more traction working through that process than doing what's traditionally done. And most of it for me is that I'm a sales dog. In Jeffrey Gitmer's Sales Dog, I'm a pit bull. And when I first did that test and somebody said, "Oh, you're a pit bull," I was devastated. I'm like, I don't want to be some growling dog on a bone, whatever. Then I got one and they're super sweet and funny and they love their tummy being tickled and they're loyal as F-bomb and they're just super, but they're really protective and they're really serious dogs. So I was like, oh, what I need to do is I need to harness the part that protects them from themselves. That part needs to be about, I am so loyal. I am so committed. I'm going to be a dog on the bone for your success. That's where, so when I lean into that and then I give them that opportunity, I say, I will not quit on you. You are literally going to have to like rip yourself out my jaws for me to let go of you. Cause I want your success. And so I'm going to want your success even when you don't anymore. And you're going to really have to convince me that there's no more meat on this bone before I'm going to quit. Now you can just ghost me if you want, but I'm not quitting.
Fantastic. Wow.
So hopefully that's kind of helpful. What other questions do you have for me? You get a chance to ask a couple of questions before we finish up the interview.
So how long you said you've been at franchising for 14 years when we talked at the beginning?
Yeah.
Was it always been B&I?
I was actually a vice president of contract sales for a Sylvan Learning Center franchise. They had 7 locations. and we were number one in the country in 2008. You're welcome. That was really good. I was really happy for that one. And then I owned a Referral Institute franchise for 5 years. And then they kind of took a direction that I just wasn't on board with it. It was misaligned with what I thought was in the best interest of the franchise and the franchisees. And so I didn't renew. And then I took a hiatus because I had a non-compete. And in the process, in the middle of my tenure with Referral Institute, my husband bought the BNI franchises with me. And then so for those 2 years, I worked with him in the franchise, and now we run those franchises together. And then I have my own consulting business, and he has a contracting business on the side, and my daughter has a grooming salon, and my other daughter has a wedding planning business. So we're a big family of entrepreneurs. I have my hands in a lot. I've got my VA in the Philippines building her business. But yeah, so this is my third franchise experience.
But in your consulting business, what does that do?
So I work with solo entrepreneurs and consultants, business consultants, attorneys, accountants, financial advisors, showing them how to structure and strategize their networks so that they can build referral teams that generate the revenue they need to be able to grow and scale smart.
Okay. All right.
That's what I do.
And you've done it very well. You've done it the whole time.
I've been doing it for quite a while. Yeah. It's been a pretty interesting adventure. And the reason I'm a big advocate for growth and scale is that 3.5 years ago, I got the rug pulled out from under me. I had a very severe illness that they didn't think I'd come back from. And so the thought process was, if I didn't die, I'd be permanently disabled. And that's when I realized the importance of team. Because while I was disabled, I had a team of people that were my clients that stepped up and ran my business for me. And I think that was the biggest shift for me is they didn't ask me for money. They didn't ask me for anything. They just believed so much in what we do that they didn't want anyone to go without knowing what we do. And so I had 3 people running my business for me for 6 months without ever asking me for a single nickel. And they were all referral partners. They were referral partners who had used my system to generate 6 figures in their business. And to this day, they are coaches on my team, and mostly we travel together. So I'm like, hey, let's all go on vacation. And they get paid in travel bucks. So we do fun stuff together, and I give them experiences that they might not otherwise treat themselves to.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we do. So Todd, as we wrap up, any last words of wisdom about business that you want to share with our audience?
The biggest thing for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, get out of your comfort zone. If you stay in your comfort zone, the things you want to have happen don't happen.
Yeah, that is so for sure. Todd, how can people get a hold of you? What's the best place for them to find you?
Go to www.silversunconsulting.com. Okay. Sun is S-U-N. The About page has my personal email address, and the phone number on there rings right here on this phone. I answer my phone, so give me a call. Let's talk.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Todd Krause, for being an amazing guest on the Business by Referral podcast. And listener, be sure to visit Todd's website. We will put that in the show notes. And if you haven't grabbed your Business by Referral blueprint, go ahead to bbrpodcast.com, click on the gift vault, and you will see the spot where you can download that. It's full of the 6 things every entrepreneur needs to know to build a network that builds their net worth. And we've added some QR codes and some free videos in there to help you do just that. And for now, we're going to close out the show, but until we meet again, be remarkable.
Thanks for listening to the Business by Referral podcast. Be sure to check today's show notes where you'll find all the important stuff you want to remember and forgot to write down. Want more information on how you can build a business relationship that produces measurable results? Go to www.masterconnectors.com/ebook to download your free chapter of Virginia's book, Referral Alchemy, and discover the proven formula for turning your network into gold. Remember, we'd love to hear from you, so remember to subscribe, rate, and review the show. And until we meet again, be remarkable.